This is Julie Hogue with Vegetarians and Meat Lovers Split Table Recipes podcast. And I podcast to you about food, about how to not be a short order cook if you have more than one diet in your house or a group of people that you're feeding, especially if you are vegetarian and meat lovers in that group, which is what I have. I am the vegetarian in my family, and my 3 sons and my husband eat meat. But there is a new vegetarian coming into my family. My future daughter-in-law, with her getting married this summer, is also a vegetarian. So often I'm cooking for all 6 of us when she comes over. And so I used to just make a smaller portion of vegetarian for myself, but now I make more because she's often here. And it's really not as hard as you think. Like, so many people are like, oh, what am I going to feed you? What am I going to feed you? It's really not that hard. It's really about being intentional about where and when you add the meat, and there's certain dishes that work really good for it. Like this particular dish is for the fajita marinade, and the marinade is for the chicken and for the vegetables. And so this is such an easy one to make into a hybrid dish, which I call a hybrid dish or a split table recipe, because you can easily make your vegetarian portions, meatless portions, and meat portions, because you're doing a build your own, right? Like each person is going to go along a line of dishes at the counter or the table, and you're going to make your own dish. So you can choose meat or you can skip it. So easy. So this recipe is kind of fun. It's kind of a fun reason why I have this recipe, because I combined a couple of different ones and then made it my own. We had the bridal shower, actually it was a wedding shower because both of them were there. So wedding shower, not bridal shower, for my son and his fiance. And so, it's really hard to plan for an open house, right? You plan for how many people you've invited. Not everyone's going to come, but you don't want to run out either. And you have literally no idea how many people are coming. So we totally overbought. She estimated how much to buy, and we totally overbought food. So one of the things we had way too much of was peppers. So we had the bags of peppers that I had cut up, and I gave some to her family, her mom and dad, and then we kept some. And I'm like, what am I going to do with all these peppers? We had like couple bags of peppers already cut up. Like, how can I use these? Fajitas. That was just like, bing, okay, we'll make fajitas and we'll grill. So the way to do it is, for me, I don't get to eat the meat, right? So if I'm making a marinade for meat, I often like to make extra so that I can put the vegetables in it too, so I can get some of that flavor as the vegetarian, not just for the meat eaters. So when I do this, I often will make extra marinade somehow, way, shape, or form. You kind of have to estimate and play with the amounts based on how much you have. And then you will know how much you need. And I've done that for you. So this is what you're going to need for this recipe. And it's really pretty simple. It's not hard. And it's really good. So you make this marinade up, and it's for the vegetables and so meat and vegetables both get the same marinade. So you're just making one marinade and they're all going to get it. Okay, what do you need? Okay, you need 1 onion. You need 5 peppers, multicolored, sliced, and the onion is, of course, chopped up. And then you're going to need, for the actual marinade, you're going to need 15 tablespoons of olive oil, 3 tablespoons of lime juice, 9 teaspoons chili powder, 9 teaspoons ground cumin, 4 teaspoons kosher salt, 4 teaspoons paprika. And then you're going to need 3 teaspoons of onion powder, 3 teaspoons of garlic powder, 3 teaspoons of dried oregano leaves, 3/4 teaspoon black pepper, 3/4 teaspoon cayenne pepper. And then you're going to need 4 chicken breasts. Of course, you can do more if you want, but that's what I made was 4, because in my family, 4 of them eat meat. And then for your toppings, whether you're going to do it with tortillas or over rice. So you need tortillas or rice for how many people you're serving. And then you need shredded cheese, shredded lettuce, sour cream, chopped tomatoes, and black beans. And those are just as amount as you want because those are toppings. So I didn't really designate an amount for those because it's whatever people really want, right? It's do as you desire type of a thing. So when you make the marinade, which is basically the olive oil, lime juice, chili powder, ground cumin, kosher salt, paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, dried oregano leaves, black pepper, cayenne pepper, and you're going to stir that up. I like to whisk it to make sure it gets like really mixed. And you're going to put that in 2 separate bowls or bags or containers with a lid. I coat the meat first, and then because the veggies are already kind of juicy and have their own flavor, so I make sure the meat is fully coated with the marinade, and then I make a little bit juicy more in there, and then I split it because then the rest of it goes on to the vegetables to marinate. I marinated it for about 2 hours, and then you're going to grill your chicken. Of course, you have to grill it until it's, 165 internally, I believe. And then for the vegetables, I just cook them in a big wok. And there already is oil in the marinade, but if you want more oil, you can add a little bit down. I didn't because it was pretty soaked in oil. And then I just stir-fried it basically in a big wok. A big wok pan. What am I talking about? And so it was really easy. So my husband took care of the grilling, and then he sliced the chicken. And then I let people choose because a lot of times my family likes to do the rice bowls instead of the tortillas because they fall apart. So they really like the bowls. So I had both sitting out, and I think absolutely everyone did a bowl. So nobody even took the tortillas. So just, everybody's different. Do what works for your family. And it's super easy. So basically you're marinating veggies, which is just peppers and onions. And then you have your marinade. I mean, it's a pretty simple meal, right? And then rice. You don't have to have the toppings if you don't want. They're just like extra good stuff to add on top. We like to do it. It's good. I mean, another alternative could be you could do salsa or even taco sauce if you like them to be like a smooth sauce. Several of my kids actually really like the taco sauce over the salsa. They like the salsa with the chips, but on the tacos in the fajitas and those kind of things themselves, they actually like the sauce better, the smooth sauce. So that's what I did with all these peppers. And it was really kind of funny. Our dog, one of our dogs, his name is Bubba. He actually came with the name Benedict, and we call him Benny, then we call him Ben, we call him Bubba, Bubs, Mr. Bubs. He has like a million names. We love him. He's fantastic. He is part black lab and part pit bull, and he loves peppers. He is so funny. I put a video of this on my channel of him eating peppers. When I cut peppers in the kitchen, he comes running. He loves the smell of them, and he wants them. So he was like right by my side, and so I did give him some of the cut peppers because he's such a sweet dog, and he had these big puppy dog eyes, obviously, looking up at me. So I'm like feeding him these peppers as I'm getting this recipe ready. Oh, he just loves peppers. It is so funny. He'll take them and he crunches them, and he likes other vegetables too, but peppers. And he likes the colored peppers better than the green pepper. It's really quite funny. And he loves those like little peppers. Have you ever tried those lolly peppers? Those are really good. Those are like extra sweet. Anyway, he is all over the pepper. So he was like looking at that bag like, oh my, knowing him, he had like his bottomless stomach, right? He probably would eat the entire bag and make himself sick because he doesn't stop eating. He's never full. So it was really fun to be able to like, oh, here's some I already have cut. The reason I'm always cutting peppers, I literally cut peppers every single day. And we have what's called pepper time. I'll tell him, pepper time, Benny, pepper time, Bubba. And he comes running. But most of the time he smells it. I don't even need to say anything. But we call it pepper time. And I give peppers to our guinea pig, Maggie, every single day. My youngest son has a little guinea pig who has peppers every day. She has fresh vegetables and herbs every single day. We give her like a little fresh salad and she loves it. So I'm cutting peppers literally every day. So Bubba comes down and he gets his pepper time and gets his peppers every day too. We always have peppers at our house. Let's put it that way. And the guinea pig really loves the herbs, cilantro and parsley. Of course, any kind of lettuces and spinach. She likes celery, but you have to cut it up really good because they can choke on celery. I had a horror story. One of my friends told me that their daughter gave their guinea pig a long piece of celery and it choked to death. So you have to cut up those veggies for those guinea pigs, especially stringy stuff like celery. Scary story. And so then she also eats carrots and cucumbers, and she likes blueberries. She's funny though. This is our third guinea pig, I believe, and the other ones liked tomatoes. Well, she didn't like tomatoes yet, but it was really funny because our other guinea pigs, they didn't like some of the fruits and vegetables when they were younger. They're like people. Then when they were older, they liked them. Like our one butterscotch, we call him Scotch all the time. He loved tomatoes and oranges at the end of his life. The second half of his life. He actually lived to be 8.5, which is amazing for a guinea pig. And the first half of his life, he wanted nothing to do with those. So he's like a person. They're like people because, their palate changes throughout our lives. Things I liked as a child, those are pretty much still the same, but they're things I hated as a child that I love now, like olives. And when I was a kid, I did not like salsa. That's a weird thing, right? I did not like salsa. I didn't want anything to do with it. I thought it was gross and yucky, but I didn't like tomatoes either. So now I love olives and tomatoes and salsa. And so it's funny how our tastes change. So animals aren't any different than us in that way, that their tastes change too. And that makes me think of my other dog, Frida. When she was really small, she always ate pea pods. That's the other thing that Bubba, Benny, will eat is the pea pods. And when she was young, she would eat pea pods. And then all of a sudden she just stopped. And she's like, I'm done. I'm not eating pea pods anymore. Still to this day, she won't eat pea pods. But she doesn't want anything to do with vegetables unless they're cooked. If they're cooked, see, I make homemade dog food for my dogs because we had Kipper, he lived to be 17 and we lost him last August. And he had so many health issues. And I had read so much about how natural food for dogs is so much healthier and it helps them live longer and be healthier. So I started making dog food with like real meat and a little bit of rice and pumpkin, white potato, yellow potato, sweet potato. They can have cooked peas and carrots and green beans. And you have to be careful though, because there's certain things they cannot have. So I started making homemade food. Well, I've continued that even though Kipper is no longer with us. So once a day, the other two dogs do get homemade food. So the only way I can get the older dog to eat actual vegetables is if they're cooked and they're in the mixture with the meat and the rice. And I either use ground beef, ground turkey, or ground chicken, making sure there's not anything added that the dogs can't have. Because there are things they can't have that are actually really toxic for them. Like they can't have garlic, they can't have onions, they can't have limes or something like that. I think it's limes. And avocados are not necessarily good for them. Whenever I'm going to feed them something new, I always check it out because I don't want to give them something that's going to make them sick. But that is one way I get her to eat vegetables. So I'm constantly making, so they get regular dog food for lunch, and then they get the homemade dog food for the evening. And I don't know, I think it makes a difference. I really do. They're just healthy. And I don't want to completely give up the dog food either because, well, it makes it a little bit easier for me because it is easier to feed dog food than it is homemade food. But also just to make sure they're getting all of the things that they might need, that they can get, vitamins and stuff from the dog food. But I've also taken dog vitamins, and crumbled them over the dog food, the homemade dog food, in order to get them everything they're going to need. And I don't do that every single time, but I've done it. And I don't know, I think it makes a difference to feed them real food. I really do. I believe those people out there talking about that, how dog food is just like so massively overcooked that it really loses a lot of nutrients. And it's just, some of them has fillers in them that are just no good. So I like to feed my dogs real food, once a day. And of course, all the peppers and stuff. And he's the one who eats all the vegetables, the one that's a black lab, and Benny, Bubba, whatever you want to call him, Mr. Bubs. He is so shiny. His fur is so crazy shiny. And he's black. And he's got white on him too, but on his toes and a little bit on his chest area. He has some white, and it looks kind of like an upside down mushroom on his chest, the white part. But he is so shiny. He's just so healthy. And I just love that we give him vegetables and that he actually eats them. But they tend to eat them better when they're cooked, I've noticed. There are some raw ones they'll eat, like I said. But if you want to feed your dogs something like that, just make sure it doesn't have too much salt in it, because salt is really bad for dogs and their kidneys. They can go into kidney failure. So I knew somebody who always was feeding their dogs like canned vegetables. And I said, you realize you're giving them a lot of salt, right? Like that's really bad for them. So you got to really be careful. If fresh is better, I would say, if you're going to give them vegetables. I'm not a vet. I'm not going to give people advice. I'm just saying what I do. And stay away from the salt, though. That's a known thing. You got to be careful when you're giving your pets something. You make sure it's not something toxic for them. There's like some sort of sugar substitute, too, that's very toxic to dogs. I don't remember which one it is, but it is one, I think it's one that's used in some of the sports drinks. So you have to really be careful. Make sure you don't give your dogs something that's going to like hurt them or harm them or poison them, right? So anyways, we got into dogs. We're talking about dogs. I love dogs. I'm a huge dog lover. I'm a huge animal lover, pet lover. I would have way more. We have 2 dogs and a guinea pig at our house. So that's a little bit more about me. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you enjoy the marinade. And, you can use any color peppers. I liked, we had red, orange, and yellow. And I didn't have any green ones because I bought the packs that were at Costco and they didn't have any green mixed in with the colors. So those are the colors we had. It made a really pretty dish too, to have all of those different color peppers. It's very appetizing looking. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this and come back again for more stuff. Check out all the other podcast episodes, and down in the podcast show notes will be links to my books and cookbooks. Thanks for listening. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye now.
En The Home Depot sabemos que para papá, el garage es su santuario y el lugar donde empieza sus proyectos. Así que regálale más espacio con cajas de herramientas con ruedas y organizadores que se montan en la pared para que tenga todo a la mano. Y claro, nunca está de más regalarle herramientas nuevas para su colección. Como el combo Kit Ryobi de 2 herramientas con atornillador y taladro por solo $99. Este Día del Padre, encuentra herramientas de almacenaje con precios bajos garantizados en The Home Depot. Aplican exclusiones. Visita homedepot.com/price match para más detalles.